Hey everybody, my name is Pluto. Welcome back to another commentated video. Today we're going to be doing SezNative Reminiscence Course 13, the Darkness Nova, the red coin star. This is the hardest SezNative star I've gotten so far. It's a red coin star, so you already know what its deal is. We're going to be going on every star path, we're going to be having fun, and we're going to be gaming. So yeah, let's talk about this one. This stage is actually made by Sil. If you don't know who Sil is, they made the Wing Cap course, the Vanish Cap course. They made, I believe they made the maze level. They made a bunch of levels in this game, and they vary in quality drastically, but in my opinion, this is actually the best level they made in this hack. It's a pretty interesting level. It's nothing too special. It doesn't have any jumps that are like horribly unique. It's just a very standard and fun level, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Reds here and the whole level can kind of be divided into two halves. The first half has is kind of like a more linear structure, which, don't get me wrong, the second half is going to be linear as well, but the first half is a more blatantly linear structure, whereas the second half is going to have a bit more branching, but in Reds we're going to have to do it all anyway, so it's more so just like pick your poison kind of thing, although there's not really a choice because of the way it's structured, but it's like an illusion of choice, which makes you feel better. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some people don't like being lied to. So, for the most, this difficulty of the star can kind of be described as like, there's no like major hard things, there's just a couple sections that are a bit more difficult than the others, but there's nothing that's like, stands out as being just like a super hard job you need to practice. Just like, there's a couple problem areas, and then the rest of the stage is just pretty hard. So, it's actually a very well balanced and difficulty star. You can see me almost get destroyed by that fucking Heave-Ho, because he was on a mission. While we do some of these more trivial jumps, I do want to say that I'm going to be on vacation in Florida for a few days, so I won't be able to stream next weekend, which is unfortunate, but I do want to practice KBRX 90 Star because I have a fan game marathon run of that, so that's definitely going to be exciting. I'm very excited to show off that game, but I'm also a bit nervous because I'm worried I will not have enough time to do the practice I need, which really sucks, but what can you do? Here we have a pretty annoying enemy placement. There's this flamethrower, which is in a very annoying spot to the point where it's like you need to use front cam to be able to know where the walls are, but that camera prevents you from seeing the flamethrower at all, so the best strategy is just to pause buffer. If you don't want to pause buffer, you can also use an audio cue. You can also use an audio cue to know when it's gone. I just play with my game volume relatively quiet, so I prefer to use a visual method than an audio one. This is a personal preference, though. I'm pretty sure some people prefer the audio method. We're getting pretty close to the first, like one of those first like little speed bumps in difficulty. It's worth noting that coin-wise, this level is actually very forgiving. You might have been familiar with Course 12, which has exactly 100 coins. By the way, there's a reason I'm skipping Course 12. I don't think I've said it, but Course 12 is just not a fun stage at all. I don't really plan to do it anytime soon because it's so not fun, so unless it gets nerfed, don't really expect it. Because that stage is really bad. But that stage had exactly 100 coins, so I was a little worried that the other stages would be 10 coins. But this level actually has a very forgiving 100 coin star. You don't have to go out of the way for coins at all, and in fact, you actually kind of want to intentionally lose coins so you don't spawn hundreds in a bad spot. This is one of the first hard parts. We have a lot of slopes here which are kind of reminiscent of the Drunk's Junk. In the sense that there's like these little crystals stuck on the walls. These aren't as precise though, but it is a little tricky to maneuver. Some small cones. It's worth noting that these slopes are not slippery, so you don't have to worry about that, but you still need to know how to navigate them, so be careful. This last jump back is actually kind of tight, so I opt to get some momentum first. And then here, this jump can kind of be yellowed. This jump looks kind of cool. You ride the wall to get the wall kick. And now we just need to make it here. It's best to dive here and slide up the slope and land on this one, but you have to do some pretty good speed control to not overshoot this. And at this point, we need to wall kick up this, but these walls are actually going to change Mario's angle as we climb up them. So, yeah. We actually cannot do this in the way that would be easiest, so instead opt to just do it like this and get a firstie on the last wall kick. Getting a firstie on the last wall kick allows us to easily dive over. If you don't get a firstie on that wall kick, it's not a big deal, you can just jump back down, but yeah, if you don't go for a firstie, that jump's pretty stupid. A little bit of a break now. We're pretty much done with the first half. The first half is a lot shorter than the second half, you'll notice, so it's actually debatable to call it a half because it's more like a little under a third, but it's not quite a fourth, so it's like a 3.5. Off that slope, you can just jump directly down there. There's a red, and we've gotten all 9 reds in that first part. Here you have a kind of annoying Hepo. This guy is just here for some reason. I don't know why this guy's here, but he's here and he sucks. I really cannot stand that guy. Definitely an annoying enemy. He's just annoying. He's not really going to kill you unless you make a pretty big mistake, but he's just frustrating. That one part of the slope that I jumped off is actually slippery, so you have to watch out for that. I did actually die to that because you slide very quickly into the quicksand if you're not ready, which, yeah, that's not very fun. I'll kick up this. This isn't too bad, you just need to know what you're doing here. Which is pretty much my advice for all this levels, just like know what you're doing and stick to a strat. Don't try to like improv anything, you'll be good. Thankfully just holding right along that slope gives you a perfect angle to wall kick up this. Not that the angle's that tight anyways. Here we have quite an awkward maneuver. Need to get this red coin, but obviously the biggest threat to this red coin is ledge grabbing, so I opt to do a triple jump. Thankfully this wall happens to not let you bonk on it with the X-line angle, so you can just hold up. Hold up as in holding up cardinally, not like holding, like stopping. I wait for the Hepo a bit because he's a little scary. Not really anything too notable for a bit, so can kind of relax. Here we have this like one-way floor thing, which is kind of awkward. Rides you all the way up. God damn it. Let it be known that every time I record one of these, I always record them with Maria, so that way like if I'm doing something wrong, she can tell me. And let it be known that Maria's being a dickhead right now. Run along the little purple donut there. Not too difficult, just gotta know when you're gonna slide down the slope and when you're gonna walk up the slope. Nothing too special. There I made a pretty big mistake there. I hit the wall, which killed my speed, which meant that I had no momentum for that long jump, which could have been catastrophic. Thankfully I caught it in time, but that was scary. Here we have the most long-winded part of the star. We have these two Hepos here, but dealing with these Hepo is just terrible, so your best bet is killing them, but the safest way to kill them is doing this maneuver. want to do it for the second one as well, but doing it for the second one's a little more awkward because instead of landing on flat ground, we're going to be landing on another slope. You can do this with wall kicks, but keep in mind that if you do it with wall kicks, there's a chance that the HIFO flips you in midair, which is not what you want to do, so don't do that. That's very dangerous. It might have been better to go off the left wall, but I wanted to play it safe and do what I was more comfortable with, even if it wasn't really optimal. I didn't really notice it because of the way he fell off, but he actually did fall off there. I'm guessing turning around, his like back fell off, so he just like, shoo! That's the noise that HIFOs make when they fall. Now we have this little maneuver. You need to get an angle here that's good enough that you can not die here. Just try to be as straight as possible, which is a little hard because no real setup for it. You just gotta eyeball it, but it's actually it's not easy. Well, it's not easy, but it's also not hard. If that makes sense. Just like pay attention and you'll be fine. Just don't be careless. That's all. Being careless is dumb. Around this area there was a red that we skipped, but you're actually supposed to get it here. I didn't actually realize when I was going for one of the stars in this level that this is actually how you're supposed to get to that section, but instead I just did like a weird wall kick maneuver which seemed intended, but it just was not. Which is pretty funny, but that's how you do it. Also worth noting that I almost missed that red, by the way, the 16th one. Thankfully I got lucky and was just barely high enough to grab it. If I had to reclimb, it wouldn't have been like the biggest deal in the world, but it would have been pretty uncomfortable, so I didn't want to reclimb. Okay, so keep going. We're done with that path, and now we can opt for the lava paths. There's two things that you can do with the lava. The first one is that you can just ride the lava up and go into this little area. And the second one is that you can go along the entire lava thing and go up. We're going to opt to go up first. Just because once we go to the top of this thing, we're kind of going to enter the final phase of this boss battle, so yeah. You have these weird looking crystal things that ride all the way down. They're kind of thematically weird because they don't really fit in with the rest of the stage. They contrast really heavily, but not in a way that's like artistically pleasing, I think. It just like looks. Because the contrast of purple is normally, well, I guess, no, blue and orange contrast. Purple and yellow would contrast. No, blue and orange. I said blue and yellow. I meant blue and orange. But whatever. Color theory aside, that red coin is kind of weird. You just need to kind of jump at it in a way that you grab it, but which, yeah, it's obvious, but it's actually really easy to just not grab it because of the way your wall kick works. If you miss it, you can just reclimb, and unlike the last reclimb, this one isn't as bad. It's just some pretty safe jumps, but you don't want to be reclimbing. It increases the attempt length, more nerves, just not good. So try not to reclimb. If you do reclimb, it's not a big deal. You can also grind Fursies to get that red, but no. Now we're gonna go around this thing. Going around this thing is actually kind of cool looking because you kind of just ride the whole thing around. While we have a little bit of downtime, I can talk about how this grind went. We only got 3 attempts past the 9th red to the second half. One of them died at 21 out of 23. One of them died at 9 out of 23 to that one slope I mentioned, and one of them got the star, which is this one. So this grind overall went pretty well. It only took like 2 hours to get the star, and I did some practice beforehand. This right here is probably the hardest part of the entire thing. We have some precision jumps reminiscent of BTTF Blue Tower, although I think these ones are a little easier because they're closer, but I could be wrong. And we have to get this awkward chain long jump here, which is pretty stressful. Now we need to turn around the slope. Turn around the slope, and you need to get into this little alcove with the red coin. These walls are not aligned properly. Well, these ones here are, but the back wall and the platform and the once we arch out, these walls aren't going to be axis aligned anymore right here. So we actually need to do this in minimal wall kicks, that way we can actually land on this. Not too bad. And now we have to repeat that chain lung jump. So keep calm and you'll get it. After that, we now need to kick up the slope, which is a little uncomfortable because we need to get to this side. And now to end off the sequence, we have to do this wall kick section, which is very awkward. Combination of very little depth perception and pretty precise wall kicks makes for a section that is very difficult. Excuse me, very difficult. I ended up my 21 ended up dying because I missed the red coin there, and then I had to fall down. But I made a mistake while climbing up the stage, so I fell down prematurely and I died. So that was pretty unfortunate, but wasn't a big deal because, like I said, got it in 2 hours, got it in the same session not too long after. So. Most of this grind was actually spent dying to the beginning, which is kind of frustrating because like the beginning isn't that hard compared to the second half, but sometimes you just suck. This is a little scary because you get like no angle off that, but the angle that you do get happens to be enough to wall kick, which is pretty convenient. We're pretty much done with the major hard parts. The last things are just jumps that you need to know how to do. Into this wall section, yeah, that's every section. Every section has a wall. There's these Goombas on top of here. It never happened to me in an attempt or in practice, but depending on the RNG, I'm guessing those Goombas can totally fuck you over. I guess just pray to God and he'll be lucky. So that's about all I can say about that jump. Just pray the Goombas are good. Now we have this cube section reminiscent of Cubic Phobic. Although unlike that stage, none of these sides are made out of quicksand. We do need to get this red. I recommend kicking so that you can hold back into the red to not have as much forward momentum because the slope is, well, it's not slippery, it is quite steep. It's worth noting that from this position we actually can't really jump down to the bottom level, so you do need to do that turnaround mid-slope. I think you actually could jump down to the lower level, but it would require a reclimb with some pretty hard jumps, so I would not advise it. Jump over here. Now from this point you need to wall kick up these cubes. This puts you here. You want to hold like a little bit up so that you have a slight angle, so you're butt sliding on this one as opposed to walking on it. That just makes it more convenient. And here you want to have as much angle as possible because you're trying to land on that part. If you land on the front side of that, you're going to do like the steep slope thing where Mario just brushes up against the slope and then just falls because it's too steep for him to walk on, or it's too steep for him to walk on. So yeah, that's the main thread. And this is kind of just a victory lap. These donuts here are pretty awkward. You get a lot of speed off them, and they're a little slippery, but they also don't feel slippery. It's hard to explain, but if you take it slowly and play it safely, it's not too awful, and you can get across this pretty safely. That's pretty much it. I didn't really have a whole much to say about the stage because it's not really a stage that has like any standout jumps. It's just a stage that's consistently hard, and while it's definitely not one of the hardest things I've done at this point, it's still a pretty good accomplishment, and the fact that I got it as fast as I did is definitely something to be proud of. That's about it. I'll see you all in the next commentated video. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you when I'm back from vacation. And yeah, bye. Backwards so you don't kick them. Nice. And the game didn't crash. Let's go. Another level done. Very nice. Very nice. Something came in the mail. That is D's Reds. D's Nuts Reds. Oops.